Hello friends, welcome to Banker Zone. See, here we'll be discussing the issues facing the Indian economy. So, what are the issues that faced by Indian economy? So, one by one we will discuss. See, according to the National Statistical Office, that is NSO, the Indian economy grew by 8.7% in financial year 2022, following the contraction of 6.6% in financial 2021. So see here, what are the issue we are facing as a Indian economy? See, the National Statistical Office, NSO is the organization, right, which basically have job to give different statistics. Okay, so that National Statistic Office given the data that Indian economy grown by 8.7% in 2022, but if we consider the figure of 2021, we have contracted of by 6.6%. Okay, so you can see in 2021 6.6% and in 2022 8.7%. Okay, that means basically what we have to see here in 2022 we have a good rate of growth. Okay, and also you remember the IMF has also told that in 2022 India is one of the fastest growing economy in the world. IMF said in its data published. Now see, according to the IMF's April 2022 World Economic Outlook report, that is a WEO, the Indian economy would grow by 8.9% in the 2022 to 2023, and before slowing down to 6.9% in 2023 to 2024. So IMF says that in its April 2022 World Economic Outlook report that in 2022 to 23 we will be growing by 8.9%. Again they are saying that you will be again down by 6.9% in 23 to 24. Okay, so that figure you remember. At least you remember the good things about Indian economy, that in this current year we will be 2022 to 23 8.9% will be increased, and then in next year 6.9%. Okay, now World Bank projected 8.7% of the growth in 2022 to 2023. Okay, so 8.9 is the by IMF, remember, and 8.7 is by the World Bank. Okay, it is by the World Bank. Okay, apart from that 6.8% in next year. Okay, World Bank said here is 6.8 and they are saying 6.9. so how easy? See, there are two different figures. Okay, I will make a table. IMF says that in 2022 to 23, and here 23 to 24. IMF says 8.9 in this, and then by next year it is only 6.9%. but the World Bank says in current year you will go up to 8.7 and next year 6.8. Okay, so that two figure you can remember, that basically IMF and the World Bank have forecasted the growth of India. Okay, so IMF saying 8.9 and World Bank saying 8.7. Okay, corresponding for the next year you can remember. That figures are only remember, you have to remember for exam point of view. Now what the challenge we are having, what issue we are facing, one of the important is poverty alleviation. So according to the Planning Commission of India's 2011-12 estimate, 25.7% of a rural population and 13.7% of the urban population is below the poverty line. Okay, so see, as per the as per the Planning Commission of India, you know Planning Commission, now it is replaced by what? Replaced by the Niti Aayog. Okay, now Planning Commission was there in 2011-12 and they have estimated that the, remember that figure you have to remember, 25.7% of what for the rural and 13.7 for the urban. Remember, 25.7 for rural and 13.7 for the urban. This population is below poverty line. So what we can say, more population in the rural are below poverty line as compared to the urban. Now see, poverty alleviation programs strive to lower the rate of poverty in the country by providing adequate access to the food, financial assistance and the basic necessary. So how we can basically alleviate the poverty? Obviously we should provide them food, then different financial assistance and the basic necessity. Then we can say we can elevate the poverty. What program we are running for the same? We are running the Rural Development Program, IRDP, Jawahar Gram Samriddhi Yojana, JGSY, Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act, MNGRA, okay, MGNREGA, okay. Apart from that, it is very much popular, this MGNREGA, this is very much popular, Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act. Apart from that, National Food Security Mission, National Rural Urban Livelihood Mission, then Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana, Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Yojana, PMGKY, Pradhan Mantri Minister Street Vendors Atmanirbhar Nidhi, right, then PM Swanidhi. So these are the different programs which will directly indirectly helping for the poverty elevation. Okay, so see, we are having different issue. First we have discussed the poverty elevation. So for exam point of view, you have to only remember that two figures, okay, that two estimated figures according to Planning Commission. We have to remember 25.7 for the rural and 13.7 for the urban population. This is under the poverty. Okay, now apart from that, the next issue we are facing, our economy is facing, is the jobless growth. What is jobless growth? Jobless growth means simply, see, growth is happening but job is not there, means Indian economy is growing but employment is not generating. That is called as the jobless growth. So jobless growth is the economic phenomenon in which economy grows while maintaining the lowering or even lowering the employment. That means economy is growing, okay, country is growing, but there will be no increase in the employment, okay, or stagnation in the employment, or even lower the employment, okay. That is called as the jobless growth. Growth is there but no jobs. Now it can be caused the structural factors, stringent labor law, then stronger reliance on the capital intensive industry. So these can be the reason for the jobless growth. Apart from that, Indian growth is the jobless growth, as the rate of employment growth is much less than the rate of population growth. So we are not getting that much increase in the employment. That's why the different scheme government has also introduced. Okay, now see, according to the census 2011, the labor force growth rate is 2.3%, higher than the employment growth rate of 1.5% during the decade of 2001 to 11. Okay, see, you can see population grow by 2.23. The labor force grown by 2.23, whereas the employment grown by 1.4%. Okay, in the same census, average annual rate of growth of the economy was 7%, but the employment is only 1.8%. So at least you will remember this figure. This figure is important, you remember. See, as per the census 2011, the economy is up by 7%, but the employment is only up by 1.8%. Okay, so we can observe from that figure our Indian economy is having the issue of a jobless growth, right? The solution to jobless growth is what? Encourage the program like a Startup India, Stand Up India, okay, then reform in the education system to develop the desired skill set for the students or for the futurist laborers. So basically these are the program government is running: Startup India, Stand Up India, through which the desired skill set will be in the okay. So see, what is jobless growth? We have discussed jobless growth. Okay, it is simply more economy is growing but no growth in the rate of employment. Now for the to combat this, what government is doing? Startup India and Stand Up India, these are the programs to develop the desired skill sets. Now see, raising the inequality is one of the important again issue in front of the Indian economy. So what is inequality? See, the rich are growing richer much faster than the poor continue to struggle even to earn. Okay, so it is oftenly said that India is a rich country, okay, of a poor people. India is a rich country of a poor people. See, India is a rich country, we are having lot of money, but the people in India are poor, means more wealth is concentrated basically to very less people. Okay, for example, the lot of people, Indian population is having very less wealth. So that will be discussing the figure. See, if I have to say, see, only 1%, Okay, so only here only 1%, top 1% earn 22% of the economy, that we will be discussing. Okay, so see here the figure. Rising the inequality is one of the important issue that Indian economy faces. Okay, so now see, in India, top 10% of the population earn 57% of the national income. So if I say here population and here is our national income, okay, so only 10% of the population contribute, or you can say earn 57% of the national income. Okay, so rest is you can say rest 90% is left only with the 43%. So see how much is the disparity, how much is the inequality in India. Only 10% is earning the 57% of the national wealth, national income, and remaining 90% is for the only remaining 43. Okay, so that figure you have to remember, that top 10% of the population of India earns 57% of the national income, whereas the top elite 1% earns 22% of the top 10%. Means what? See, the 1% people in India holds 22% of the wealth. Okay, so that can be a figure that you should remember. Apart from that, according to the Oxfam International, the top 10% of the Indian population control 77% of the national wealth. Okay, so see, there are different figures. Okay, so in case of a national income, remember, in case of, you remember at least two figures. 10% population earns 57% of the national income, right? And according to the Oxfam International, 10% of the population control the 77% of the national wealth. So you remember that two figure. Don't get confusion here. Here is the national income and here is the national wealth. Okay, what is national income? That we will be discussing in the our upcoming sessions. Okay, so in a second module we have to discuss in detail what is national income, what is GDP and all that. Okay, meanwhile, remember, 10% of the population control 57% of the national income, 10% of the population control 77% of the national wealth. Okay, and according to the data, only 1% of the elite people is having 22% of the national wealth. Okay, that additionally you can remember, but that too you should remember and don't get confusion here. Okay, now apart from that, what is the another issue we are having? Migration. Migration is another issue of Indian economy. So migration is the movement of people from one location to another in order to take advantage of a better economic possibility. See, people from rural area moving to the urban area. Why? Because factories are there, right? Companies are there, then different firms are there, they can find their jobs. Okay, construction is going on there, they can work as a construction worker. So migration is the reason, is one of the important issue in front of the Indian economy. Okay, so for better economic possibility, better housing, better medical facility, better school, better education, people are moving from rural area to the urban area. That is basically the migration. Migration issue will worsen in the coming years as climate change related migration flow increase, particularly in the middle income economy like India. So for India, we are having very big challenge of a migration. The climate change is expected to increase the intensity of extreme environmental event. For example, drought, sea level increase in the sea water level, flooding, cyclone. So these see basically natural disasters like a flood or the famine. Due to these, the rural economy will be getting disturbed. So less production in the agriculture sector, right? So that's why different worker which are working in the agriculture will shift to the urban area, and that is basically for to find their bread and butter, right? To explore the economic possibility in the city. So there will be a migration issue we can relate with the climate change. The migration of the people of a rural region to city is rising. The new middle class is forming with the hope for the better living standards in the urban area. Okay, they are hoping that there will be a better living standard, better hospital, better schools, better garden, for better play stations. Okay, so these are the better opportunity in the city area. That's why people migrate from rural to city. Now the next challenge issue we are having, the pandemic situation. We all know the COVID-19 pandemic was the first kind to hit the world in the 21st century, okay, hitting all the economies and in the varying of degree of impact. So basically we all know how COVID was impacted our lives, economy and all. As per the RBI's report, currency and finance 2021-2022. So that statement is important. See, the RBI report on the currency and finance 2021-2022, it will take India more than 13 years to recover from COVID-19 loss. So we will around by 34 to 35, that means 2034 to 2035 we are able to recover the losses. This is very big statement. The report, what is the report on currency and finance? So report on currency and finance 2021-2022, okay. So on that report, RBI said that India will take 13 years to recover whatever the losses we had in the COVID, okay. So we drag behind by 30 years by the pandemic, right? So 30 years means by 2035 we can recover the losses due to the pandemic. That is losses means due to that is loss burden to the Indian economy, okay. So that is important, that you have to remember 13 years. Remember 2035, you can easily add the 13 years in here, okay. 2022 plus 1335, okay. Now see the summary of this unit, okay. See what happened post COVID. The pace of economic recovery has moderated. According to the IMF report April 2022 called as the World Economic Outlook, the Indian economy will be growing by 8.9% in 2022-2023 and will again slow down to 6.9% in year 2023 to 2024, okay. Now the World Bank has but projected 8.7% for the 2022 to 23 and 6.8 for the next 23 to 24, okay. So that figure you have to remember, 8.9 and 6.9, and by the World Bank 6.8. So it is for World Bank it is 8.7 and 6.8. That figure you have to remember, okay. Apart from that, the IMF India, according to the IMF, India is the fastest growing economy in 2022. Okay, what are the economic major issue we are we are facing? We are having less demand. We are the jobless economy. Our economy is jobless means we are creating the wealth but not employment. Then human capital quality is poor. Infrastructure is problem. Then over dependence on the agriculture, rising the government debt, migration. So these are some issue we are having. Apart from that, the Planning Commission of India in 2011-12 estimated that 25.7% of the population of the rural and 13.7% of the urban lives in the below poverty line. Okay, that is important. You remember, jobless growth is simply the phenomenon of the economics in which the economy grow but lower the employment or even stagnant the employment. Okay, India is one of the fastest growing economy, but we are having the most unequal society. That means rich become getting richer, poor become getting poorer. Okay, inequality pronounced after 1991's reform. So when the basically that inequality has increased after the 1991's LPG reforms, that inequality has been risen. As per the World Inequality Report 2022, India is one of the most unequal country in the world. Okay, World Inequality Report says we are one of the most unequal country. Okay, that means more wealth is contributed to very few people. Okay, top 10% of the population earn 57% of the national income. I have already told you. Okay, and only 1% earn 22% of the top 10%. That means top 1% hold 22% of the income. Apart from that, migration is one of the important problem in front of Indian economy. Issue that Indian economy is facing: migration, movement from one location to another for the better economic possibility. The pandemic has taken the significant toll on livelihoods and the production capacity also. As per the RBI report on the currency and finance 2021-2022, India will take more than 13 years to recover the losses that caused due to the COVID-19. So by 2035, 2034 to 2035 we can recover from the COVID losses. Okay, so here some terminal questions, you can go through it, how question can be asked. As per the IMF WEO April 2022 report, named the world's fastest growing major economy in 2022. So as per the IMF WTO April 2022, India is the world's fastest growing economy. Okay, now see the RBI, second question, RBI supports the economic growth through, how RBI support economic growth? Supply side or the demand side factors. So obviously RBI increase the demand side factors. Okay, demand side factor, remember. Okay, how that will be discussing in supply and demand unit. Okay, demand and supply, don't worry about that. As per the planning commission estimate of 2011-12, percentage of population below poverty line in the rural areas. So below poverty line in the rural area, it is 25.7. okay, and 13.7 it is in the urban area. That also you have to remember. As per the World Inequality Report 2022, top 10% of the Indians earn -% of the national income. So top 10% earns 57% of the national income. Okay, that figure you have to remember. Okay, so in this way some question can be there in your examination. Meanwhile, you all know you can subscribe our YouTube channel, download the application, this from Play Store, link is given. Join the Telegram group for the notes on the discussion. The group is the name of the group is Banker Zone JAIIB. For that you can directly search even JAIIB at the rate JAIIB BZ. Okay, what you have to search on the Telegram, at the rate JAIIB BZ. You have to search this without space, you will directly find the group. Happy learning.